What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me again on another podcast with Invest with Obi. I appreciate you guys being here. So today I have a special guest of mine, a really good friend. Met him, several months ago at our first meetup, which was in Arizona. His name is Aaron Murphy. I really wanted to have him here because he's gone through some things that I can't speak of. I can't even really fathom the things that he's gone through, but he's actually been through some amazing, incredible things that I really wanted to have him here so he could speak on his story because he's come out on top, right? He's come out on the other side. And to me, it's just amazing. Like, I really wanted to have him here so he could share his story, what he's going through, his wins, his losses. All right, without further ado, Aaron, brother, thank you for being here, man.
Hey, what's up, Obi? Thanks for having me, man. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Good, man. Thank you for taking your time. I know you're freaking busy. You got the business going. So I want to start off, first by you talking to my viewers about the things that you've gone, because you shared some things with me that to me was just like, it blew my mind. I'm like, how can this guy even be standing? How can this guy even come on top of and on the other side? Because I am in the medical field and I'm seeing people like you with what you were going through. And there's not that many people that come out on the other side, man. So I want you to, start off with first, talking about that.
No problem, man. I'll just treat it like a recovery meeting. I'm an alcoholic addict. I still do go to meetings regularly, about 2-3 a week. I've been what they call, or what people like to say, a functioning alcoholic for pretty much all my life. As I've learned in recovery is that there's not a such thing as a recovering alcoholic. You either are an alcoholic or you're not. You just ain't hit rock bottom yet. So I've always drank. I've always liked alcohol. I've always liked beer. And actually, I think really what started it was, I was bullied, and I found drugs and alcohol. It made me cool. It wasn't with the right people, but sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. But now I find being sober is cool. Heck of a lot cooler than, that lifestyle. But, I'd get off work, I'd have my beers, I'd have, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beers in the evening and go to bed, get up, go to work, do my thing, have a cooler of beer in the truck and, on the way home, crack one. And that would be the start of my day. But as I sit back and look now, my day revolved around that first beer or that first drink when I got in the truck. How fast can I get done working so I can crack a cold one? And back then I didn't realize, didn't realize that was a problem. But let's fast forward a little bit. About 3 years before I got sober, well, it was about 1.5 years. Drunk in time and drug in time, it's 3 years. It seemed like it when I got help. But it was about 1.5 years before my mom had passed. And my mom was my rock, dude. Always. She raised 3 boys by herself. She had some assistance from my grandparents and aunts and uncles, but she had a hard job and she wrapped her life around us kids. And she was a very strong woman, but she too suffered from addiction. But her addiction was food. She was overweight. But she was such a beautiful person. And in recovery, and even through life, I've always tried to be like her. She has a huge heart. She's an amazing person. And when she died, man, something just clicked in me. The bad of all the bad. Recreational drug use became habitual. My couple beers after work became couple beers before work, couple shots during work, couple lines during work. My drug of choice was always cocaine, but I would try a little bit of anything. Pills, blow, whatever. But
how old were you when Mother passed?
I'm 48 now, so I've been sober 3.5 years. Well, 3 years and 4 months. I don't want to give myself time I don't have. But I would say I was probably 48, so probably 45. Yeah. And dude, I just hit this downward spiral, dude. I was a hot mess. And I often wonder, dude, how did I let myself get like that? But it wasn't me letting myself. I have a disease, dude. It's alcoholism. A lot of people don't see it as a disease. A lot of people's oh, no, that's that person's fault. But, I've seen some pretty badass people have alcohol and drugs consume their lives. Like I said, before, it'd be a recreational thing, once a month, once every 2 months, get some cocaine and have fun at a party or something, but it never got to the extent that it was when I got help. I was going through a lot of alcohol and a lot of drugs.
Gotcha. So your mother passed, I guess everything started spiraling and getting worse. Were you doing any cocaine or anything like that before she passed?
But yeah, like recreationally, like
Gotcha.
couple
Did everything,
couple times a
everything
month.
just,
Like, yeah, it was just, just to do it. I gotta,
gotcha.
sorry about the phone, man. I gotta mute it for you.
Good, bro. It's all good.
Shame on me.
I'll erase that. Don't worry about it.
So
Let's go back. So, okay, so you got worse after your mother passed, but you were already just doing recreational use, cocaine, heroin, whatever it may have been.
Oh, no heroin
right?
recreational, and actually, I've never done heroin in a roundabout way. Like I've taken ecstasy, but that has heroin in it. But I've never straight up done heroin. That's one drug that I always stayed away from. Like it didn't even sound enticing to me. Do it one time and you're hooked forever. Like it didn't sound fun.
So I want to go back a couple years back, because you said you got into it because you were bullied. Where was this, in school?
Oh yeah, growing up, I was bullied. I was, put down, talked down to, told I would never amount to anything. Just the normal drama and bullying. Like I was told several times, by certain people that, oh, you're never going to amount to anything. You're nothing but a punk. Da 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 da. No, I didn't get good grades. I got terrible grades.
I mean, how could grades when you're sitting there being bullied and belittled? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I started fighting, and it all started with pot. Started with drinking, partying, having a good time, and that took me to a place that I couldn't normally find. Like it gave me that ecstasy.
How was your relationship with your siblings? Because you said you had some siblings.
Both my brothers, we had really good relationships since up until I was the age of 19. I had my grandfather as a father figure, which I think that's where I get a lot of my morals from, and I'm a little old school sometimes, I just have that old school mentality, I guess you could say. And my grandfather always boosted me, but with my peers, I was getting bullied, And there was other adults that would get mad and be like, oh, well, you're not going to amount to anything. You're just a punk, da-da-da-da-da. But, I got the true love from my grandparents and my mom. And, my one brother really stepped up, Tim, and he was like a father figure to me. Mad props to Tim. When he would catch me being stupid, skipping school and, out just partying, having a good time, of course he would bust me. And he worked for the city that I grew up in. He was a city worker, and he'd be like, oh, such and such saw your car. Yeah, he's 8 years. So I was the baby.
So
I got another brother I have another brother that's 10 years older than him, or 10 years older than me. So I got me, and then 8 years before, there was my brother Tim, and then my other brother Mike, which is 10 years my senior.
Gotcha. So you guys were pretty close. You had Tim that was always watching your back and basically keeping you on a narrow. That's great. And you also had your grandfather.
The best he could. And I mean, Pappy, every Saturday morning breakfast with him, and so on and so forth. He was a great role model as well. But at the end of the day, my mom was a beast, dude. She suffered from depression, and because she had depression, she ate, and of course you're going to suffer from depression. You're raising 3 kids by yourself,
Yeah.
And she had trouble.
Shout out to the single mom. Shout out to your mom, man.
But yeah, dude. So it was a ride, but like I said, I just continued that lifestyle. And when I moved to Cincinnati, I moved from Cumberland, Maryland to Cincinnati. I was a cable guy. I was climbing telephone poles. I was a lineman. And at that time, in the late 90s, early 2000s, dude, there was a lot of drugs there. And that's the first time I fell in love with cocaine. And I had a little battle with it back then. You give a 20-year-old that falls in love with something, paying them $1,500 a week for their service, for their job, I was kind of wild.
I bet.
But, I was dating a girl, and she's like, I can't, she had a kid, and she's like, I can't, be around this type of shit, and I'm like, all right, well, you're worth it. I'll quit, Took some time, it wasn't easy, but I ended up, I was able to at that time. I was able to do it on my own. I wasn't sucked in as far as I was this last time. So, her and I ended up breaking up, and actually that's how I met my business partner, Jay. Was the girl I was dating is his wife's best friend, and we're still friends to this day. I'm still friends with that girl that I was dating. But after her and I broke up, my business partner Jay hit me up, and he's like, bro, what, we can't be homies anymore just because you and Chrissy ain't together? And I'm like, bring it, bro, So he was like really my first true friend I made here in Cincinnati. Like going strong, like 27 years. My friendship with him lasts longer than my marriage.
Well, I mean, it's a bromance. Yeah, that's usually how it goes, especially nowadays.
That's my boy.
So how many times would you say that you've tried to quit?
What, drinking?
Yeah, quit drinking.
Never. I never tried to quit drinking. Now the drugs I did quit. I quit those back in the early 90s. In the early 2000s when I was with my Jason's friend, my ex-girlfriend. Like, dude, it was just recreational. Like, after her and I broke up and, life moved on and I started a life. I got married. I had a kid, which you've met. He's my boy. He's awesome. Like, I love him. Like, that's my dude, my G-man.
You're definitely blessed with a great kid, man.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. But I made a promise to him when he was born that I would never leave him. I made a promise to him that I was always going to be there for him. I was always like I had, like, my dad, I'd see my dad once or twice a year, talk to him, once, twice a month until I became an adult. And then I built that relationship with my dad. When I was like around 14, like I would go down and spend 3 or 4 weeks with him in North Carolina and then go back to my hometown, and, I just wanted to make that promise to my son that I would never leave him solely to my mother to be to his mother to be taken care of. I promised him that I was going to be the best dad that I possibly ever could be. And, he tells me on a reg, even with your pitfalls, like, you've been the best dad in the world. I'm like, yes, I love you.
It's something to be able to that from your kid,
Yeah. So like, I still drank, but like I said, I drank every day, but I didn't get hammered every day. I mean, I could slug back 8 to 10 beers and not be hammered. Like, I had a tolerance that was just out of this world. But I was still able to coach all of his sports. I coached his wrestling. I coached his football, so on and so forth.
So you were a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, well, like I said, up until my mom died, I was a functioning alcoholic. But like I said, for all those years, ever since I was young, and I was a functioning alcoholic.
So 20, from 20 to basically 45, you were a functioning alcoholic, right? But
yeah, pretty much.
Did you? Yeah. So you knew that, okay, you know what? I have this, right? But you really didn't, consider yourself or label yourself an alcoholic. You're like, okay, well, listen, I just like to drink. And then your mother passed. And that's when basically all shit went to hell.
Oh yeah, everything went to hell in a handbasket, dude.
Gotcha. Like, what was the worst that you would say that you?
At the end, I was so sick, and I don't want to go into too much detail because it's disgusting. But dude, I was so sick I couldn't hold anything in or down. Like, I would wake up in the morning and throw up blood. They thought that I may have had colon cancer because I wasn't honest with the doctor about my drug usage and how much I drank, what alcoholic is. And they thought I had like colon cancer or something. So, they did a colonoscopy, upper GI, and they're like, oh, you're clear. There's nothing to worry about. It's like, but in the meantime, I'm like shaking. Like this is like one of my favorite things today. Like, I'm not shaking.
You don't have the DTs. They call those delirium tremors.
Yeah, I can sign my name, but I was shaking all the time, and it got to the point I couldn't even work, dude. Like 3 months, month and a half, 2 months, 3 months before I got help. Like, I had to quit laying tile because I've been a contractor, the past 15 years, and remodeling kitchens and bathrooms was always my niche. But dude, I couldn't even butter a tile to stick it to the wall. Like, I couldn't even mark it to cut it, and I walked away. I had to quit.
So what was it that, I guess, when was it or what was it that sparked and you said, okay, I need help? What did that look like? Who did you reach out to?
Well, that's a multitude of things. When I first realized I needed help was when I was standing in the woods with a gun to my head. I couldn't handle being sick anymore. I had done lost the respect of my son. I was embarrassment to him. I had done lost my relationship with my wife. My marriage was tanked. No respect from friends. I couldn't work. I couldn't support myself. And I was tired of being sick, dude. I was tired of getting up every morning and sitting in the bathroom on the toilet coughing until I dry heaved up blood every day. That was an everyday occurrence. I'd be laying in bed and I could feel it in my throat and I would just start coughing and I'm like, you gotta go. You gotta go now. Straight to the bathroom, sit on the toilet, garbage can between my legs. And I was just tired of being sick. I was tired of being a hot mess. I was tired of failure. I had the gun to my head and I was pulling the trigger and I felt this burning sensation. And I was standing in a, dude, no crap here. I was standing in an in-ground hornet's nest because it was October. Yeah. It was October and they were nesting they were getting ready to hibernate and I got lit up like 15 times. And I reholstered my pistol and ran up out of the woods. Called my ex-wife and I'm like, which we were still married at the time. I'm like, you gotta come get me. Which it wasn't odd for me to be in the woods because I go for a hike or walk every now and then, and that wasn't out of the norm. But I was like, you gotta come get me, And she came and picked me up, and I fell out of the Jeep, went into the house, took some Benadryl, laid down for about 2-3 hours, and woke up and went crazy. Like, dude, I started throwing every ounce of cocaine that I had left that I could find. I went and got more. I think it was bad stuff, and I totally blacked out. I don't know everything had happened. Like, even through all my alcoholism, I was never really abusive to my ex-wife ever. Like, it came really close that night. And like I said, I don't remember everything, but the next morning she told me, you either get help or get the F out and help yourself. I was like, you leaving me? And she's like, you don't get help, I am. And just like any other alcoholic addict, dude, I didn't want to go, but I went ahead and made the calls and got to the treatment facility that was closest to my house, which was about 3 miles away, and checked in there, a place called Hotel California by the Sea. If anyone's in Ohio struggling, or they do have some places in California, but I don't know exactly where, but top-notch service, man. And I don't know if it was because I was so done or their service was that well. I did 7 days in detox, and I did 37 days of inpatient residential, is like we like to call it, and I did 30 days of outpatient. And dude, the writing was on the wall with my marriage. Like when I got out of treatment, like I got a half-ass Vlasic hug from my ex-wife, like no kiss, no, like I'm proud of you, no shit like that. Like, so it was over, but I didn't want to believe it was over. And here's one of another crazy thing was while I was in treatment, like the second or third day that I was in residential from detox, I kept having this reoccurring dream of my ex-wife leaving me. And the odd thing is everything she said verbatim in that dream is what really happened in real life. It was weird, like I saw it happening, like someone was trying to warn me so I didn't take it as hard and relapse or whatever. But like all the writing was on the wall, dude. So I mean, I pretty much deep down I knew it, but I didn't want to believe it. Like at first in treatment, I was really reluctant because I did not realize that I had to be there for me yet. But I was there for her. I was there for my son. That was the main reason why I was there. It's the only reason why I was getting sober. I was like, I like my alcohol too much. Like I'm going to go in here. They're going to put a couple Band-Aids on me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get out. I can work and I can go to the bar and have some drinks. That was my whole mentality. That was before, I really realized that addiction and alcoholism was a disease. And that was before I realized and knew that I could not help myself. So with that being said, I was there for other reasons than myself. And as I kept going through the program, like I started seeing and realizing things and realizing and seeing things. And it's like, I got to do this for me. And the more I stayed there and the more I started studying the Alcoholics Anonymous book, which in the program we call the Big Book. So you're like, you hear me refer to it, I'll say Big Book, but it's the book of AA. You know, I started reading the Big Book, and someone that worked there took, I don't know if he does it with everybody or it was just me or if it was his job or whatever, but you know, he would show up every day to make sure I was still there when I was in detox. He brought me a Big Book the second day I was in detox. He's like, here, and I still have it. It sits right here beside me. It has all my notes in it. Like, this thing is plastered with notes and highlights and everything. But he's like, did you read that yet? I'm like, I ain't reading that shit. I was like, I'm here just, I don't want nothing to do with that, dude. I'm here to feel a little better, and I'm going to go back and live my life. No, you can't do that. And I was like, dude, you're lucky I'm still here. I was like, I only live a couple miles away. I can pack my bags and walk my happy ass home. And that's the attitude I had in detox. You know what kept me from doing it is I didn't want to hear my wife bitch about it. Is if I would have walked out at that point, my insurance wouldn't have covered the amount of time I was there. So I didn't want to get stuck with the bill. And I didn't want to hear her bitch about the bill. That's one of the main reasons why I stayed in detox and went to residential. But I did learn that I had to be there, dude. I had to be there for myself. I did realize that I had to get sober for myself before I went out. And that's when I started like my 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning routines. Like, I'd get up and I would read a section of the Big Book. I'd get up and I would read like some daily devotionals and, you know, say my prayers. And I didn't know what I was praying to at that point in time because, you know, I didn't even, so much had happened to me. Like, I was questioning my faith. But at that point in time, I knew, like, the way the 12 steps work is, you know, you got to have a higher power. You have to have this. You have to have that. And, you know, so I always have believed in God, a God, whatever it is. Like, when I say God, I use it very loosely because I am not a Christian, but I do believe in God. And I think all great things happen in this world because of a God. All great things happen to you because of a God. But, you know, I had to realize what I realized I had done and what happened in my life was the reason why I was so depressed and miserable is like, I'm on no medication right now. I haven't been on any medication for like 2 years. Before I got help, I was on antidepressants. I was on blood pressure medicine. I was on anxiety medicine. I was on this. I was on that. I was on that. I was on this. Now I take a vitamin and Advil if I need it because I'm old and my body hurts and doing construction. You know, so that was benefits too. All these ailments are gone because drugs and alcohol are out of my life. Like, all the depression and everything was coming from drugs and alcohol and living a half-assed life. Like, as I reflect back, like, I spent my whole life loving someone more than I love myself. And that's one thing I learned in recovery was that I gotta love myself before I can love anybody else whatsoever. I gotta have that love for myself every day before I can even think about giving anybody else love. And that was one thing that, you know.
Aaron, hold up. Aaron, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
For some reason, the thing was cut out a little bit. But you were saying they started cutting out when you were saying that you learned you gotta love yours.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that, right?
All right. So what I had to realize is I had to love myself. So I just spent, you know, 20 years of my life loving someone more than I love myself. And it turned out to be disastrous, dude. Even though we're not together, I'm not in love.
You gotta be able to please somebody else, man. You gotta please yourself, right?
Right, exactly. And I mean, I gotta be pleased, and I gotta make sure that other person's pleased, and like, I gotta be able to be please someone else by pleasing myself. So, like, I spent all that time, and I've even had this conversation with Garrett, which, you know, Garrett, he's a very level-headed young man. And I was like, dude, you have to remember this. If there's nothing that I ever try to teach you in life is love yourself always. Don't love someone more than you love yourself, because if you do, it's not going to turn out well. All right, Pops. All right. I do love myself, Pops. He always calls me Pops, which I think you've heard him call me Pops. But, you know, so, like, I can't stress that enough to people. Like, when I go give my lead at AA meetings, or I try to stick to giving my lead more treatment facilities, because I want people to see that you're not stuck. You're not stuck where you're at. There's a way out, there's a way forward, there's a way to do things. You just got to do it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to have faith in your God, whoever that may be. It could be a doorknob. Put your faith in and work the steps, get a sponsor, do what you're supposed to do. But, you know, I like talking to treatment facilities. That way I can give these people faith and hope. If I do nothing else in this life, I want to give other people hope so that they know that it can be done. I want to be an example that it can be done.
I appreciate that, man. You know, because I said I can't fathom what that is, what that feels like. I've seen it. Honestly, I don't know anyone that's come out on the other side. You know. Right. So you mentioned something that you, brother. You know, I don't know about anybody else. I don't know anybody else. That's why I really wanted to have this podcast and tell your story, because, dude, you're the only one that I know, bro. You know, and I'm so thankful for you that, you know, that you're here. We're able to have this friendship. You know, thank you so much. But you mentioned something that, given the career that I'm in, I see it, but I really never had the conversation with anybody, and I want to see if you can shed some light on this, right? Went through those 7 days of was it called the first 7 days of basic rehab, where you're basically just going through the DTs, going through the pain. What does that feel like? I know it's
hell. It's pure hell, because your body's wanting something it cannot have. And with you being in the medical field, you probably already know this. Alcohol is the only drug that you can die from. DTN. You can't cold turkey quit drinking alcohol if you have a problem like I have. If you do, you run the risk of alcoholic seizures. Like, it's a shock to your body. Your body is dependent on alcohol to function. When you get to the caliber I was at, like, it's a big joke. Like, I always say I got so good at drinking, I had to retire. That's what I tell friends and family. I had to retire. I got so good at it. Like no one else could stand up. But I mean, that's just a little joke to spread light on it, you know. But yeah, dude, like having accidents, because all that stuff's coming out of your system, your body. Like, it's embarrassing, it's shameful, it's painful. I mean, cold sweat.
So like your whole body just.
But yeah. Like, and you don't want to get up, you don't want to move, you don't want to do anything. A lot of it,
you're just like in pain, defecating all over yourself. You can't.
Well, it's not constant. It's like I only threw up because that was my normal routine every morning. About 2-3 weeks in, automatically, like, that throwing up in the morning stopped. That puking blood and everything stopped after 2-3 weeks. But like, a lot of it I don't remember, because I mean, I drank like my last 12 in an hour before I went in. That's how devoted I was. I was like, I ain't gonna leave any beer here for someone else, you know. And I did a line or two before I went. It's my shit. I'm gonna finish it. So like, the first half of it I hardly remember, but I mean, I had 2 accidents. I mean, you're not going to the bathroom on yourself all the time. The sneeze, cough, whatever. Like, man, you know, and it's quite humiliating. Like, even, you know, me being a 4C functional alcoholic my whole life, like, having an accident, it's humiliating, period. No matter who's around, you know, no matter if you can help it or not, it's still humiliating. I'm an adult, for sakes, you know. It's like it was rough. It was bad, and that's all you want while you're in there. And then in the meantime, it's painful, because, you know, as you move on and go to residential, and actually it was in detox, like my first meeting with my psychiatrist or therapist or whatever she was, dude, like, she dug deep into my head, like really deep, like trauma deep, like back to the root of all evils. And like I lay there like and bawled. I'm like, and I yelled at her, and I'm like, why in the F are you bringing all this shit out of me, you know? Like, she's like, because that has to come out, you're fine. I'm like, you know, because I mean, it was painful, it sucked, it hurt, and that was enough to make me want to leave, because you have to face yourself, and through writing the steps you do, the 4th step, man, you're doing personal inventory, and a lot of crying on the 4th step, and a lot of like, damn, I'm a dick, where I was, you know. So I mean, that was hard, and yeah, it was just painful, and you get a lot out, and I don't know why I stayed sober the first time I ever tried to get sober. I don't know, because there's people out there that don't make it a day or two, and on the
Very
19th of
nice.
this month, it was 3 years and 4 months for me.
Congratulations, brother.
Ah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Uh, so
So
I don't
wanted to
understand.
ask you,
What's that?
I wanted to ask you, because how old was Garrett when you were going through all this?
He was getting ready to graduate. He was 17.
How did it affect him?
Oh, he super resented me at first. Some things came out but he tells me now, it's like I am so amazed by you. I'm so proud of you, like where you came from and where you're at and what has happened to you. And he's like, you're just an amazing human being, Dad. And he's like, I want to be just like you. And I was like, no, don't be like me now, not me then.
Yeah.
Be like me now. But he has mad respect for me. So it was hard. Step 8 in the 12 steps is making amends. I mean, we all drag our feet on that because, going back to people and forgiving, like asking for forgiveness and forgiving them all at the same time is hard. So, I have made amends to him, but I've made it my life's mission to make a living amends to him and show him what you can do, because my life started all over again when I got sober. I had a new start in life, new beginnings, and it's just like, wow. So he's super proud of me. And he's a chip off the old block. I moved to Cincinnati at the age 19 or 20, 21, whatever it was. And he just moved to Denver a month ago. So that was really hard.
Ballsy. We were talking about that. That was ballsy, but dude, he's trying to make his own,
Yeah. And like I told him, I was like, I can't be upset with you for doing the same shit I did, in a positive manner. Not all the bad stuff we were talking about, but it's like, I don't want to stop you. And I was crying when he left, and I'm like, tearing up. I wasn't bawling like a baby, but it's like, I've already sent him off to college once and he was away. And that was at the beginning of this whole sober journey. And that was really tough. Because, me and his mom was separated, and he's all I really had other than, like Jay and my roommate, Jason, which, dude, he's another rock of mine. My roommate, he doesn't get enough props sometimes, I think. Like, dude, when I left my house, finally I was like, I'm done. I was probably about 7 months sober, somewhere around there. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, my ex-wife wasn't coming home and she was staying out. And I was up, waiting on her and this, that, and the other. And, that's her story to tell, not mine. But I just had enough. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. And, I called my roommate. I'm like, dude, I was like, and I've been doing work with him, so him and I have, we've been friends, so he already knew everything that was going on, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And he's like, the hell with them, homie, move in with me. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So but yeah, like he's been one of my rocks. He's not emotional like me, so it's kind of hard for me to be like needing a shoulder to cry on or something. Like, oh, suck it up, it's the type of guy he is. But
Man.
like with my sobriety, I got more emotional too, because I got more in touch with myself and more in touch with my spiritual self, everything. And, just that loving manner, like after, so I left my house, moved in here. Yeah, my son graduated, which sucks because he graduated on my wedding anniversary, which would have been our first or our 20th. And that really sucked being there with her. But she's great. She's a great mother. There's still some love for her, but it's like, it's nothing like that. Like, I'll always love her. She'll always have a piece of my heart. I was with her for 21 years. But we're just not compatible at all. Like, two totally different people. But like, she sent me divorce papers. I got the divorce papers a day after my son's graduation party, which he graduated in May, and mid-June was his graduation party. And like 2 days afterwards, I got the divorce papers in the mail. And, my thinking was we were going to try to work it out, do some counseling, whatever. And that's when everything kind of really fell apart. Like, like I'm bawling on the phone with her. Like, I thought we would be able to work this out. Like, you're the love of my life, blah, 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 all this, just, and finally, I got off the phone with her and I'm just kind of laying there in bed, just like crying. And I'm like, God, please take all this away. Like, I can't do it anymore. And I got up, went for a hike, dude, and I've never felt that feeling again. It was like it was taken from me. Like I never felt it again. Went down on the river for a hike and meditated for like 20 minutes. And after meditation, I'm like, I'm a new person, which was weird. I'm like, there's one more time that I shed a tear over her, and that's when our divorce was final in December. And I was just sitting there, and it's like, I don't want to be with her. Why am I crying? And I think it was because it was the end of an era. Like it was final. It was done. But I do care about her. I do care about her a lot. And if she called me tomorrow wanting help with something, I would help her because I'm not a vindictive person.
Good for you.
Like that's not my makeup. I don't want to be that way. But after all that, dude, this is what's crazy. So I'm gonna get a little sideways and crazy on you here.
Go, bro.
This is what's nuts. So I had all these questions that could not be answered. Like I had lost my faith in Christianity, but I still believed in a God. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything. And so much crazy shit has happened to me. I'm like, why this? Why that? Why that? Why this? So I don't know who out there in this world believes, but I do. For these reasons, I went to an oracle, which is a psychic. If you're not familiar with the term oracle, it's a psychic, basically. And I went to this lady, and as soon as I walked in the door, and this was before my divorce was final, and this was after, that was kind of lifted, that pain from being with her. And of course, I was still carrying some grief and pain from it, but I wasn't feeling that deep pain that I was feeling. And as soon as I walked in this lady's door, and she's sitting there, she's a very sweet lady. I still go see her a couple times a year. And this is why. I walked in the door and she's like, son, what's going on with you? What's up with you and your wife? And I'm like, immediately, I'm like, how'd you know there's something going on with me and my wife? And she's like, it's your aura, it's your energy, I can read it. I'm like, okay, because I was always skeptical of people like this. I always thought that they were hacked. I go in there and sit down, and Obi, she proceeds to tell me all about myself, bro. Like things that no one knows. And I'm like, what is going on here? And, she's telling me all kinds of things. And, I asked her, about why I had the dreams of, my ex-wife leaving me and what she was wearing, what she was saying, the weather, like everything was 100% on point. Like it all happened the exact way I dreamt it. And she's like, well, one, you're a Cancer, so some Cancers have the gift. And she said, two, it could be your spirit guides warning you of what was going to happen so that you didn't take it as bad. You already knew it was coming, right? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, that there, like, that was kind of like, and then finally, at the end of this, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, Kim, so what about the bees? She perked up and she's like, I was waiting for you to ask me about them. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. She's like, your mom sent them. You were going to die. And that's the only way that she could save you. And I was like, holy, I'm tearing up now. Shit, sorry. And she's like, I want you to know that your mom is very proud of you. But that's the only way she could save you from where you were at. You were really sick. You were going to die. And she's like, you're not sick anymore, are you? And I'm like, no. And she's like, your mom's proud of you and she loves you. And I'm just like I'm sitting there just...
Damn, it's got freaking heavy.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there crying, man. And I'm like, really? Like, oh, and she's like, your mom's always with you. And I'm like, wow.
Heavy, dude.
Yeah. So I mean now, and it kind of goes along with everything that I've learned, that I'm learning and have been learning through meditation and, through business, like God's universe, the universe is God, God is love. And that's what God is to me. God is love, God's universe, God is within, turn within to get answers, and that's kind of the way I believe because of those things. That's why I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Buddhist, but I love Jesus, I love Buddha. Like I wish I could be just like them. I think they're more role models is basically the way I look at them. I still like reading scripture. Some scripture's amazing. But, to me, God is love. God's the universe. God's all around us,
Yeah. I mean, God's good, man. Dude, I appreciate you being so vulnerable. And you shared a lot. things that I can. I haven't gone through nearly half of what you've gone through. I've got my stuff, but nowhere near, what you've go over. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you being so vulnerable, man. It's freaking crazy. So now what I want to talk to you about your shift, going through all that, and now being in the investing world and the success you've had thus far. Had a couple flips, had a couple properties that you own now. You have multiple doors. So I want to.
I don't own any yet. We're working towards that.
Okay. So I want to go into that. Like, you went from hell where you're at now. Like how, because you're 48 now, right? So
Yes.
all this literally happened, 3 years ago. You've been going through. So it's taking you 3 years to get to this point now. And so I want you to talk about how you came into the real estate investing world, how you got into Sub 2 Owners Club. Again, I want you to talk about the way that you've had this.
Yeah, sure, man. That's kind of part of what I do when I go talk at treatment facilities. And by all means, I make sure I tell them, people, like, look, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you what can happen because I'm living proof. So really what that looks like, man, is, first couple months sober, like, I didn't work because I had to work on myself. I'm going to go back to that for a second. And I had to work on myself. I had to make sure. I had this huge fear, dude, of getting back into the trades because, let's face it, a lot of people in the trades drink. A lot of people in the trades smoke weed. Like, we all know that. And everyone in the trades that does it is proud of it, So I had this fear of that, getting, around people that drank regularly, getting around people who still smoked weed. Because, weed was never really a big thing for me. Like, I outgrew that in my 20s. And, I would smoke weed every now and then, but it was never, like, my drug of choice, or, like, I was more of an upper type person. But so I was scared to get back at it. And that was one of the things. My ex-wife was constantly like, you got to get to work. And, like, you don't understand. I'm not ready for work yet. It's an added stress I'm not ready for. So, so I took my time. And then finally, I started doing some work. Picked up a bathroom here or a backsplash there, or, so on and so forth. And we just kind of went heavy at it and started. I reached out and made amends to a general contractor that I hadn't burnt. I just kind of walked off the job and called him, made amends to him. And I was like, is there anything I can do to make things right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, show up at this job site, dude, and don't screw me again. I was like, you ain't gotta worry about that, bro. Like, I'm good. I got you. Yeah. So I started working for him, and the sponsor I got, Nate, he's a general contractor. He runs a remodeling business, so I was getting work from him. And then slowly, like, work just started feeding to me from other places. So I slowly built back up. I was making 40 to 60 a year doing contracting, backbreaking work that, I was already tired of doing it, but it's the only way I knew of how to make money. I know other ways, but I don't want to go work in a factory. I don't want to go to work in a factory. I don't want to go flip burgers. I didn't want to go do this. I didn't want to go do that. I just stuck with what I knew and what I was good at. I'm pretty humble and I don't like blowing my own horn, but I'm pretty damn good at laying tile. I had two very good teachers. So I just got back at it, dude, and just started hammering and working and just struggling, like, trying to pay back old debts, trying to pay back bills, trying to pay off medical bills that I had let lapse. Through addiction, it's a trick to get money when you don't have any. Like, you go open up a bank account, overdraw it, and move on to the next bank. So I had all kinds of, things in check systems and collections, and like trying to pay all those off and pay off debts to people and so on and so forth. So, money didn't last, didn't stay, So, but I just kept plugging. Like, just tile job after tile job, backsplash after backsplash, LVP flooring, throwing that in, doing whatever I had to do. And not this past November, but the November before, my best friend in the whole wide world, now business partner, Jason, we call him Jay, because I got a roommate, Jason, and best friend, Jason, and two friends, Jason. So it's Jay and Jason. So business partner. Yeah. business partner, Jay, he came to me. He's like, dude, I'm going to do this thing. And he's like, there's no one else in this world I want to see come with me on it. I want someone like you on my team. He's like, just the love you got, the passion, the drive, the resilience, he's like, dude, I don't know anyone that could have went through what you went through. And he's like, I would have blew my brains out. He's like, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I was like, well, I tried that and my mom wouldn't let me, which that's been a joke. I was like, I tried that, but my mom wouldn't let me. So he's like, I'm going to do this thing. But he didn't tell me what it was yet. He came to me in November with this. He's like, I'm going to do this thing and I want you with me. I'm like, what is it? He's like, let me fill it out first. Let me see. Let me test the waters. Because he's a real estate agent and he has, some multifamilies that he's had. And, he's like, let me test the waters. He's like, I don't want to pull you in. And, because he's looked into other programs and stuff. So really what he was doing was testing out sub 2 to see, what's up with it. He didn't want to bring me in. It wasn't all it was cracked up to be, which we find out is all it's cracked up to be and more. I love you, Pace. You the man. But,
hey, don't forget Jamil.
Jamil's my dude, man. I love Jamil.
It's Jamil, man. Pace. No.
Actually, I didn't even know who Jamil was until I went to Squad Up. I knew who Pace was because, I was watching, he would show me some of the things in the vault and this, that, and the other. What we did was, since I'm his business partner, we got our LLC together and we joined together. So we share our sub 2 membership. It's just everything. And it's like, I know how to swing a hammer. And I didn't tell you guys this. I was a realtor back in the early 2000s. I tried my hand in real estate as a realtor, and I did really good because my ex-wife was a loan originator. But that was just subprime time, She was a loan officer, and that was subprime, and the market took a shit because of all that. And when it did, I had to jump off the train and get back in the trades. That's how I ended up back in the trades. But, so then he calls me, I'm doing a bathroom. He calls me and he's like, we're going to Squad Up. And I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, dude, Squad Up Summit. Here's the info. Check it out. I was like, what's a Squad Up Summit, dude? And, I looked it up and he's like, I was like, dude, I ain't got the money for all that right now. He's like, come on, dude, we're going. You can pay me back after whatever. And I'm like, all right. So went down to Squad Up, dude. And right before we went to Squad Up, we printed a list off of PropStream. And I'm looking at this list and I'm reading scripts to go door knock or haul on these. We skip traced them. We had all the numbers and I'm going down the list and I'm like, I know this person. It's like, dude, I know this person. I was like, I don't have their phone number. So I hit him up. We call it the Messenger House because I hit her up on Messenger. And I'm like, hey, I'm in real estate now. And, my job is to research pre-foreclosures and stuff. And I was like, I see your house is in foreclosure. Is that correct? Is my list wrong? That's exactly how I approached it. And she's like, oh, no, you're right. I don't live there anymore. And I'm like, oh. She's like, I let family move in and they were supposed to pay the mortgage and they never did. And I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, you interested in getting rid of it? I said, you're getting ready to get foreclosed on. You don't want that on your record. She was like, yeah, I'd love to get rid of it. And, through negotiation, we finally, I think she owed $115 on it. And we gave her $20K. Put $20K in her pocket and bought the house. And we bought that a week or two before Squad Up last year. And so we went to Squad Up already pumped because we got our first deal as a team, our first fix and flip deal. And we already got, everything underway. We got it gutted, cleaned out, everything. Walls started being torn down, everything before we went to Squad Up. And the way we did our first one was I was general contractor on it, and he actually put in sweat equity. I put in sweat equity. And, through listening, to other investors, dude, that's not the way you do it. You don't get dirty. I'm like, but I'm a contractor. That's what I contribute to our fix and flip. Da-da-da-da-da. That's what I contribute to the company. I know other contractors and da-da-da-da-da. And it's so after doing that one and the work we did, we didn't pay ourselves. It was sweat equity. I put in a full bathroom, a backsplash, remodeled kitchen, remodeled this, did that. He did this, he did that. So it was really hard to keep a tally on what we did to even try to pay ourselves for it. And it's no, we're just going to get paid in the end. And I mean, it turned out great. So we were all in with rehab and everything. We were all in at like 225 roughly. Sold that bad boy for 3 home run. Like, it was like 303 we sold for. So that was a major home run. That was our first one. And then, they just came. So I kept posting like, hey, this is my flip, da 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 da. And, post little things like, hey, here's another win. Here's this, here's that. If you know anyone in foreclosure, or you know any probates, you know anyone going to the nursing home, call me. So then I got a phone call from another person, and they're like, well, check this house out. They're in the nursing home and going in foreclosure. So we call that one pre-probate, pre-foreclosure is what we called that one. Went and got that one. Got that one under wraps. Got that one rolling. And then, the next one came, which was a sub 2 deal that we ended up getting locked up, but we ended up breaking even. Actually, we ended up losing $3,000 on that because there was unforeseen things that we didn't put in our budget. But it happens. You can't win them all. We know that.
Because, it sounds like you hit the ground running, right? You started off with some wins, and then now you had a loss. Let's talk about the losses. Like, the people don't really like to talk about. In my opinion, that's where you learn the most.
Dude, the loss was total growth, man. And actually the second one wasn't as huge of a win as it should have been. That was a major struggle. That was the first time we stepped away and handed it over to a project manager, which I can't stress this enough to anybody. Like, really, really vet your project manager and your contractors, because this guy, he showed us pictures of his work, and it's like, oh, that looks amazing, you're doing great, yeah, da, 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 da. And a 3.5 week project took 8 weeks to finish, which pushed us out of prime, not to mention holding costs at $100 a day, but that pushed us out of prime season to list it. We ended up losing like 15-20K because we weren't able to list it when we needed to make the amount we wanted to make on it, and plus we lost money and time. Like, we ended up only making like 30K on this house, and we should have made like 60-70.
So you said you lost because of your project manager, right? So the people that don't
because
know,
of it
right?
being
So
drawn out.
how do you better project manage, right? These are the lessons that you've learned through this. So how do you better project manage?
Talk to other fix and flippers, talk to other investors, find out who they use. We got 2 guys right now that are phenomenal. They go in, they look at it, they take notes, they write down everything they need. They send us a bid. We go down, itemized, done. I made a vow when I first became an investor is I want to be the highest paid doorknob delivery guy in the greater Cincinnati area. So like, anytime they put doorknobs on there, I'm like, no. I was like, I'm getting the doorknobs.
That's funny. All right, so yeah, man. So I'm saying, like, talking about the losses is where you learn. It's like, people always talk about the wins. All right, cool, great, but where's the lesson? Because you're just gonna go do it over again. Like, where's the lesson? Lessons are the losses.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we still made 30K on the house, but we were supposed to make 60. If it would have got listed a month and a half before, like it was supposed to, if our timeline would have worked out right, then we would have made an extra like 30K, because we had the holding costs for the extra time. We had to pay extra time on our money, which we still got it done within our 6-month time frame, but still, it's still extra. Extra we got to pay on our money from our
You have to wait an extra.
It was an extra 2 months, so there's a couple thousand there gone. And it was like it was roughly 20K we lost because of them dragging their feet and listing time. But like I said, we still profited on it, so it's still a win. And me, I try to think positive. It's like, okay, it's still a win. Still a win. We still got this. Yeah. So then, like I said, our sub 2, it was just unforeseen circumstances and the time that it got listed. If we listed it at a different time, it would have been fine. We sub 2'd the deal. We had 20K from a PML for rehab cost, and we went well over that because of unforeseen things. Like, we were only wanting to put about 10 into it, and if it would have all worked out that way, we would have both walked away with money in our pockets. But it's not a perfect world, and everything's not perfect every day. You got to make things perfect. If it's not, you got to be grateful for what you already have. Let's move on. Yeah. Put it behind us, learn a lesson, let's go.
There you go.
So, then, of course I get another phone call. So that's 3 people just calling like, hey, get another phone call about another one. I used to coach their son, and they went through a long ordeal. Like the dad ended up passing away a couple years ago, and no matter the reason they're losing the house really doesn't matter, but they were losing their house. And I went over there and talked to them, and they only owed, I felt kind of bad for them, but there was no way to sub to it neither, because there was someone else attached to the deed that was no longer in that family's life. So that was like pulling a tooth trying to get her to even sign. But that's crazy. Like, this will help our listeners as well. The dad bought the house with an ex-girlfriend. Those 2 got divorced, or split up, not divorced. And then he met his current wife that he had, the young man that I used to coach with, and they had a daughter as well. And he just continued paying on the house, never took her off the deed. So then when he was dying, he did a survivorship with the daughter, not the wife, daughter, which is weird. I don't understand that. I guess because she was younger and he wanted her to have the house, like, so if the mom died or something, there would be no issues. But there was already issues because the ex was on the deed. So when he was sick, she wasn't able to pay. But whenever, he died and she got back to work, she just resumed payments. She didn't pay what was in arrears. So the bank finally came knocked for it, and they're like, by the way, the ex-wife's on this deed, on the house. We need to talk to him or her. Like, dude, it was crazy. And they couldn't refi because of her. They couldn't refi. Like, this woman would not help them whatsoever. So she lives in California, so we had to reach out to her, have the attorney at the title company reach out to her, and like, we tried to strong arm her and get her just to sign away on the house. And she's like, oh no, I have vested interest. I want my money. Like, and she's that type of person. She's been indicted on embezzling money from nursing homes and everything. That's the type of person she is. And so, we ended up getting a TC to help us with it because of, all the TC and the title company, dude, was amazing on that. And I can't remember who Jay got, or I would promote them. But finally we got her to sign. They had like $15K on the house, which was, but we couldn't sub to it. Yeah. So we ended up buying the house for $100, and ended up buying the house for $100, closed on it. $40,000 went to the lady in Florida. $40,000 went to my friends, the people I know. And then we were walking around like, okay, what's our end strategy on this? What do we do? So we're walking around and like, dude, let's wholesale this thing. No risk. So we ended up throwing it on the market for like $159 and got an offer like 3 days later for $152. I was like, score, home run. Yeah. And the reason why we decided to wholesale it is because we were able to get rid of it without risk. There was no risk because it was already going to profit. And if we would have rehabbed it with rehab cost and everything, we'd have probably only made 5 to 10K more than we did by wholesaling it. So, I mean, that's something to think about if you're a newer investor. That 5 or 10K is going to come back in a different deal. Like, if it's less risk and you're still making a significant amount of money on it, roll with it. Just go. So that's what we did with that one. And then slowed down a little bit. Did 2 more, made pretty decent on it. And now I got a condo that's listed that we just went through, put carpet in, put a furnace in, and touched up the walls. We didn't even paint all the walls. And then we got another total rehab on the west side of town. So my first year, we started right before Squad Up last year. And my first year, we did 4, 5, 6, it's going to be 9, dude, in our first year.
Go, bro. That's what's up, brother.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. Even from where you came from, going through what you went on, that's why I wanted you to be on here, dude. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy to me.
Right. So it's
the growth that you've made, right? Progression that you've done, right? Like working on yourself, like learning the business, dude. I think that's amazing.
Dude, I'm still learning every day. When I first got sober. And this is for the people who think it can't be done, dude. When I first got sober, when I first stepped away from my house, first got sober, I was making maybe 50 to $600 a week if I was lucky. The $600 was if I was really lucky. No, usually it was 2, 3, 4. And that's what kind of income I had when I first got sober. And like this past fiscal year in business, not the calendar year, but the last fiscal year since I started investing, like I've done 6 figures in business. And I've never made 6 figures myself in life ever. But, you know, like everyone thinks like, oh, you made 6 figures, you're loaded. It's like, no, like there's fees, there's expenses. Like I joined Owners Club, you know, that's $30K right off the rip, or 25, whatever it is, you know, that, and then, you know, all the trips, all the you know, retreats, like, you know, and then, you know, insurance, so on and so forth, you know. So it almost feels like I'm broker than I was before, but the cool thing is like I did it, I'm doing it, I'm making shit happen. You know, I got a couple big irons in the fire. I got 3 or 4 wholesalers. Dude, I can't stress enough to you owners, sub 2, like other people, man. Matt Peckman, dude, hit him up. Like, amazing mindset coach, amazing life coach. He's actually made a huge difference in my life. He's the reason why I'm, you know, starting to, you know, tiptoe and tread into the multifamily world. I hit a rough patch there,
bro.
Yeah. Hit a rough patch there around the holidays, and I called him like I'm getting broke, dude. Like I don't know what to do. And he's like, yeah, but you just called me. You're talking to me. That's amazing, dude. You're alive. Like,
yeah.
And he's like, no, dude, seriously. He's like, you need to become a multifamily investor. So like with that, I'm really not big on like good with the underwriting yet. Actually, him and I are supposed to do a Zoom tonight and underwrite like this huge deal, and we're probably gonna try to submit it as a wedge deal because it's too big for either him or I. It's like massive. And then I had a wholesaler, you know, 2 hotels in West Palm Beach that, you know, I'm pitching throughout owners and sub 2 before, you know, someone else buys them up. There's some development land in West Palm Beach. He wasn't interested. I already talked to him. He wasn't interested.
Perfect. All right. So we can end, right? So I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to talk lastly about you getting into sub 2 Owners Club. How has that impacted your life? How has that changed your life? You know, Paige, Jamil, the people in the community. And what has it done for you personally and in your business?
Well, for starters, man, like we had that first house walking into Squad Up last year. We were already feeling pretty pumped, you know, like, and after I figured out what Squad Up was, you know, that you know, we were going to get to see Grant, we were going to see this, you know, possibly meet Pace, and you know, that was like, dude, I want to meet Pace. I want to meet Jamil, and it's like at that point, like, dude, we were nobodies. Like, no one knew us. Like it was just a relationship we were building when we were there. But the game changer was really Squad Up, period, dot, end of sentence. And I tried to tell my son this to get him to go, and he's like, I'm just not feeling it right now, Pops. Okay, whatever. I said, it's going to change you in all aspects of life, not just real estate. I left there so full of energy and power and pumped that I'm like, dude, let's go buy something. A candy bar, I don't care. It was ridiculous, dude. Like just how pumped we were, how badass it was. And like, dude, I was on this like high that I had not experienced since I used. Like, it was just this rush. It was like this dopamine rush. And just meeting all these people and connecting with these people. Joining Owners Club made me realize I can do things that I never thought I could do. Like, dude, would I get on a podcast and sit here and talk to you before Owners Club, before the retreats? You know, I'm bad. Sorry, guys. I'm still bad about posting. I'm trying to.
You're doing freaking amazing, dude.
I'm trying to get my own podcast started. This first podcast I've been on, so I'm a little nervous, but this is pretty dope. Like, I'm feeling it. I would never be able to do this before, but it's just the camaraderie, the tightness, the family. Like, I haven't met everybody in Owners yet, but I will say this: the people that I have met is just phenomenal. They've became like amazing friends. Just like dude, just the connections. And even if you don't know someone that well and you hit them up, like I talked to John the other day, John Piquel, and I was like, hey dude, I was presenting some deals to him, and he picked up the phone, hey brother, what's happening, man? And I've only ever talked to him once, dude. It's that family unit, dude. Like, you feel like you're a part. I struggled with my homework.
I'd like to add to that, because it's like, I've reached out to some people, and it's like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Literally going out of the way to help me, to write a deal, look for money, structure something. And I was like, dude, this is wild to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, how many people could you actually, call? Like, I have my personal friends that I can call literally, at the drop of a dime, for anything. But most people that are in Owners Club, like, are the same way. Hey, I need this. Hey, contact such and such. Contact such and such. Like, dude, just the other day, Mary Kay hooked me up. She's like, hey, contact this guy at Equity Trust. I contacted him. I had no idea who this guy was. I get the email from the guy. He's like, this is how you want to structure this deal, this note. But dude, I ended up talking to basically the head guy of Equity Trust. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know I was talking to this guy.
Right.
Super cool, super nice. Dude, to talk to him, you gotta be in that top tier plan. Top tier plan's like $20,000 a year. I'm like, what? I was able to talk to this guy, and she hooked me up. Dude, awesome. Yeah, and he answered the question that I needed, off the bat. Perfect. Dude, so being a part of this sub 2 Owners Club, it's you literally, it's you found your tribe, right?
Yes.
And everyone's there for the biggest thing in this, to help each other, to help you out. If someone doesn't know, they'll find the right person. So it's super cool, dude. I'm super happy. I'm proud to be
and dude, I'm totally proud to be a part of it. There's like Susan Caspers, Susan, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but she's in Colorado. She's in Evergreen, right outside of Denver. And I posted this thing, on Facebook of Garrett leaving, and I was like, no matter, just this little sweet thing, no matter how many times I send you off into the world, it never gets any easier, blah, blah, blah. And Susan commented and then reached out, and it's like, I've met you twice. Like, this is so amazing. Like, she's like, if there's anything you need, or, when you come out, let's network, let's hang out, let's go to dinner, let's come out during a meetup, to visit your son, and we'll all do the meetup. What's your son's info? We'll get him coming to the meetups. Like, dude, it's so phenomenal. Like when in Boston, I talked to Susan for about an hour and a half, and then we had a Zoom together another hour, and it's just amazing, just the way people are in this community, and willing to help. Like no one feels they're too big to reach out. No matter bottom dog, top dog, middle dog, and
dude, we being able to reach out to Jamila, to Pace as well.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean, dude. No one else does. So I'm super, super happy to be here. I'm seeing my growth, and my business definitely has increased since I joined. Meeting cool ass people like you.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean? Dude, it's just been everything to me. So I can't wait to see what Pace and Jamila have in store for us, because they're always brainstorming up things.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Dude, what is it we have ownership in our own title company.
Oh, dude,
that's crazy.
How crazy is that?
That's crazy.
And I haven't even touched on that, because the other stuff is just, if not more important to me than the companies.
Yeah. But those are added bonuses.
Dude, I've really done some huge self-work since November. And when I had met Matt for the first time in Boston, and such an amazing human being, talked to him. When Pace talked to him when we were in the room, and he said he was a mindset coach and life coach, I was like, dude, I really kind of need that kind of thing in my life. I already knew spiritually who I was. I already did meditation. I already I was always drawn to that type of thing, and I knew at that moment, like, I had a connection with him, even though I never even talked to him. And every time I tried to talk to him, he was talking to someone else, and I didn't want to interrupt because I hate interrupting people. It was rude because whatever he's saying to them is just as important as what I have to say to him, you know? So it's like, dude, like, am I ever going to be able to touch base with this guy? And it was crazy. Like, I was walking out of the bathroom and boom, there he was in front of me, and I'm like, dude, like, I've been trying to talk to you. But
he's super chill too.
oh, he is, man. Dude's got a heart this big. Like he's an amazing human being, and like just his teachings have changed my life huge. It's a mindset.
Yeah, bro.
I already kind of had a positive mindset before I started, but now even more so. Like it's insane. Like there was a deal that me and my partner were doing, and we had a buyer for it, and we were going to make $80K on it before we even did any renovations. And we were like, we're going to make $80K, da da da. We were all stoked, and a day before closing, they backed out. And then it was like, oh, like we just lost $80,000. Yeah, I got off the phone with my partner, and I was eating at a local restaurant here, and I just started busting out laughing. And I had to call my partner, and I'm like, bro, I was like, what are we all upset about, dude? He's like, dude, that was $80K. And I'm like, yeah, that's amazing, dude. We just lost $80K. He's like, are you nuts? He's like, are you crazy? I was like, no, I'm not crazy. I've never had $80,000 to lose before.
Dude, shift in mindset, right?
Yeah. So and I've learned that it's all about perspective, dude. That's like through everything I've been through. Yeah, it's perspective. Like dude, like sometimes like it's like, dude, I really don't have the money to go eat, and I don't want to spend a bunch of money on groceries. Like, dude, I'll eat the best damn microwave hot dogs there is, dude. Like, I'm so grateful. It's like a steak, dude. But I mean, just got to be grateful for what it is that you got, dude. And that's one of the things that I already somewhat had that, but I learned that more and got more of that with being in, you know, Matt's group, going through his program and this and that and the other. I'm not promoting his. Well, I am. Like, if you want to go join. But
dude, no, please do, man. Like, think about it, like that crazy mindset that it's hard for us to shift. You know, like, oh, it's $80K. Like, dude, $80K. I've never had $80K to lose. Dude, come on, dude. That's right. I think that's huge. That's huge. You know?
Yeah, dude. So, it was like,
so last thing, man. You know, I don't want to keep hearing you. We've been here for an hour and a half. You know,
dude, I'm straight, man. Like I already set aside 2.5 hours for you, bro, because I knew once we got to chatting, we're like two old ladies, dude. We'll just keep going, bro.
So we're gonna definitely have to do a part 2, because the thing is, you know, people can only handle so much, right? For an amount of time, right? But what I want them to know is, like, how can they get a hold of you, right? You obviously know how to navigate foreclosures, right? So anybody that's going through, you know, possible foreclosure, how can they get a hold of you? You know, like, how can they get a hold of you via Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be? You know what I mean?
I will post my link at the end of this, and that way you'll have all my information to put on there, Obi. So, like, you know, just here we are. My email is sell2murphy, and if you want to post my links off my Blink, you can, bro. Like, I'm totally cool with that.
Perfect. No, I will, brother. All right, well, listen, man, thank you so much for being here, dude. This was amazing. You know, we're definitely gonna have to do a part 2, because there's so much more that we need to talk about.
Dude, dude, I can talk to you for 4 hours, homie.
But actually, you know what? I started to talk to guys. I'm like, dude, you know, just to do it. Like, I think I'm gonna have to start flying out to other people's places and just like, hey, let's do it live, though.
Dude,
you know?
Dude, the next one you and I do together, let's do live, bro. Let's do it.
Yeah. Listen, we'll talk about it, brother. Hey, listen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being my friend. You know, love you, bro.
Likewise. Love you too, bro. Thanks, man.
Later.
Later.